Let's talk about fear.
80% of success is psychology. It's your mindset, it's your emotion, it's your capacity to overcome your fears and your limitations and just push yourself anyway.
Most times when we talk about entrepreneurship, we talk about the fear of failure or the fear of putting yourself out there.
So I encourage you to ask yourselves, where in your lives right now might defining your fears be more important than defining your goals?
Hello and welcome to Smashing Fears. This is Rod Pancin. I'm a web designer, solopreneur, and I can smell something in the air. And it's fear, actually. It's fear. It's not good. So let's deconstruct fear as entrepreneurs with people that are working to smash it on a regular basis, like therapists, coaches, spiritual leaders, and maybe James, the owner of the grocery store next to you. Thanks, Rod. The big question is why all of us entrepreneurs start so confident and clear about our goals, and then along the way, we say life happens, but life happens for all of us. I guess I am the one looking for answers here. But you know what? You might find your answers here too. So let's roll. The fear of growing the business with Eric Lee. What is the secret of being successful, wise, and happy? Eric Lee, take it away.
Yeah, I guess I've been very blessed to have always known what I love to do. So ever since I was like grade 10, I knew I wanted to be a designer. I was in drafting class till 10 at night, just doing what I love. And my friends would be asking me, like, why are you staying at 10 at night in class? I'm like, because I love it. So for me, it didn't matter. I was very much on purpose, on passion. So I'm very blessed with that. And since then, every company that I've created along the way have been to support me and what I believe in this world. So with that, I'm a big believer of that. That's why I became a business coach. I want to help people align with their purpose, because I find that if you are in alignment with your purpose, then there's no better place. That's when you're really happy and you're in the groove, and that's when you create the best work. And with the best work, that's when success comes.
Success for sure looks pretty after achieved, but there is definitely little stories, valuable things behind. So let's rewind.
I think a lot of my inspiration comes from my mom and probably my dad. He passed away when I was 5, so I don't relate too much. But from the stories that I heard, he is a very much driven and very on task and very successful entrepreneur. Both my mom and dad were. But I learned and saw a lot from my mom in my early days. We came as refugee family, and it was tough. It was tough upbringing. 2 years into the country, my dad passed away. So here's my mom raising 4 kids, not knowing the language, new refugee in the country, and she really had to make a go at it. But she was very good. She was persistent. She was resourceful, right? If she wanted something, she sought out the answer no matter what happens. She worked 2 restaurant jobs, day and night. She would leave at 10 in the morning. She won't come back till like 1 in the morning, like after midnight, because she would have to close off. So I saw a lot of that. The work ethic is super important. And for any entrepreneur, if you ask them, that's important. I saw that in her. I saw resourcefulness. So for me, I can actualize any goal. If you give me enough time, I can actualize any goal because I know how to find it. I may not know right away, but I know eventually I'll find it. That's resourcefulness. So I think I got a lot of that from her.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Eric, tell me, how can we overcome fear?
I'm always one that is very interested in psychology and personal development and mindset. So I've always been studying that for a long time. I've done lots of courses on that. And the interesting thing about fear, if you break it down, fear is simply a lack of data. Okay, fear is a lack of data. Wow. At any one point, you are feeling something fearful, it's because you don't have the data. Once you understand fear from that perspective, it actually gets a lot easier. Because if you don't have the data, what do? My recommendation is, coach, go and get the data. Once you get the data, that fear will be removed, right? If you think about it, you are, let's say you're fear of heights or something like that, right? And, or even something like you're going to the unknown. You don't know what's on the other side. It's a dark hole. You're going through, you really don't know what's on the other side. It's all black. So you're fearful. You don't want to move. But what if you knew exactly what's in that room? What if someone turned on the light for you first before you went on, showed that it's only 4 walls, no obstacles on the path, and there's a clear light to the other end. And then they shut off the light again. Now, if you walk through that, you would be less fearful because now you have the data. You know exactly what's in front of you. So that's the interesting thing about the science of fear. It's really just missing data. So if you take the time to go and gather the data, that fear resides. Now, of course, there's some real fear, fight or flight, right? So if a tiger's coming at you, you're afraid. That's natural. But a lot of the fear that we have in modern life where there's no, saber-toothed tiger biting at us, it's made up fear in our head because we don't understand what's on the other side.
So you were listening to this podcast and you didn't even know that you have a fear, and now you need to identify the data of that fear to figure that out. Don't worry. Let's see how Eric does that with his clients.
My job is to lead them. I am their guide, their coach, their guide on a hiking trail to take them to the next summit. That's what I do. So in terms of fear, a lot of times I know that there's a fear behind that, and the client may not know themselves. But what I do is I don't even tell them that it's a fear. I just show them the data that's needed behind that fear, and therefore it's gone. Right? So if you have a fear of, okay, I'm going to go and, I really need help. I need to bring in staff, but I don't know if I should do it. What if I don't have the next paycheck? What if this? What if that? What if this? There's all these what ifs in their head. So simply, all that I do is get them to do a financial model. Right? So if I tell them to do a financial model or help them with that, we can look at, okay, how many customers do you think you'll be getting, or how many customers have you gotten? Okay, this is now proof. Have you gone, look back in your last 12 months, how many customers have you had? And on average, how much is that? And then we model out what the next 12 months would be like. Then I do the math for them. I say, okay, look, your time is worth X amount. You bring in an assistant. Okay, you save from that perspective because they charge out less. And then that will free up so many more hours of your time. And the end result is this much more revenue. So I'm showing them that math, and it subsides their fear because that math now tells them, okay, they don't have to worry because all they need to do is get, let's say, 10 jobs a month. And if in the past they've proven that they can get 12, 15 jobs, well, there's no more fear. Now there's data, right? So that fear is gone.
Tip time!
The way I like to do things is I'm very much action-oriented, and I believe in taking action. And what I found is that once you take action, that action leads to something else, and it leads us to something else. So with that, I actually get clarity on the way. So I'm definitely not one that's analysis paralysis. I don't believe in that. I believe in just making things happen. So even sometimes if I don't have the full data, I have faith that I will uncover the data that I need as I go along, and I will alter my decision as I go along. So I'll have a game plan, a high-level game plan, and I know that I don't have all the information, but I know that I'll get along the way, and I'll readjust where I was thinking slightly to suit the new data that comes in. And that's one of the tips that I do help with my clients.
For all the entrepreneurs out there, for all the solopreneurs, I urge you to do one thing after this podcast is done, and it's just list your fears. And let's go beyond, and actually let's break down those fears to where you are lacking data. Is that something that you are missing there? And more than that, just make a move.
Winston Churchill had a really good quote. Fear is a reaction. Courage is a decision. And I think that's the key between taking action even when you're feeling fear, right? So my tip about getting data, yes, that's great. But sometimes fear is very emotional. It overtakes your body. And you're like, I can't move because it's fears here. So although I'm telling you this very logical thing about, okay, go and get the data, you're not in a logical space. So that doesn't help you. But think of it this way. Fear is very much a reaction. Okay, you look at all the pandemic and all the stuff happening in the world, and a lot of what's happening in the world is because it's a reaction, right? We are just reacting to the body feeling that we have right now. But the wiser person doesn't react on it. The wiser person recognizes that there's fear, decides, okay, thinks about, okay, what should I do next? Okay, I feel the fear, but I'm still going to do it. That's courage. And that's the difference, right? Courage is bravery. It's moving forward, even though you know that there's risk in that fear, but you made a choice to move forward. And that makes the bigger person.
So while I'm here cleaning up the pieces of this fear of growing the business, I'm wondering, what are they capable of? What are you capable of if you can smash those fears and move forward? Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. This is the first episode of Smashing Fears. We're going to break down all the fears that business owners have, and there's a lot. So, yeah, just send me your questions, send me your fears, send me whatever you want me to break down, and let's measure. Thank you so much, Eric Lee. You can find him at starfishcoaching.net or on YouTube. He has awesome videos there. Eric Starfish Coaching, you find him. And send me your questions. Send me your questions to, or fears you want me to break down, to rod@ilovetodowebsites.com. That's it for today. Thank you so much, guys. Cheers.